Devil in a red dress. Call 911, I'm a killer. You know I hate to confess. Bang, bang, got my hand on the trigger.
Hello, Trabant.
Hello, Tito.
Wow, what can we see here?
And this video is about traditional Chinese practice, of traditional Chinese treatment called cupping. So let's see how it's done.
Well, let's take a look. See, there is some massage as well. And there is some fire.
Oh, looks dangerous.
Well, you can see these kind of circles on the skin afterwards.
It's very popular in China. You can see.
And over here you can see it looks like there's some blood.
Oh, that's horrifying.
It looks a little bit scary. Oh, let me finish the video. Yeah, it does look a little scary.
Oh. They create a suction. So the skin just gets sucked in the cup. They say cupping helps with pain, back problems, herpes, cough, acne.
Wow, so wide range of things, wide range of symptoms.
Miraculous treatment. Yeah, you can see people with these welt marks everywhere in China, even kids.
Yeah. You can see it a few times, yeah.
Yeah, usually you know that because you can see it on their necks and upper shoulders. It's a very common treatment in China.
Well, I mean, I guess what it does is we've seen fire being used or some heat because it creates some kind of a pressure, right? And this kind of sucks the after the air cools down and the cup is attached to the body, it kind of sucks the skin in, right? So maybe this might help to improve circulation around the skin. I can't quite understand what else it might be useful for, right? The suction can also be done with basically if the air is sucked out somehow, through the top, and maybe the openings might also serve as needle marks in the so-called wet acupuncture because the skin might be pierced before the cup is applied.
That's why the blood comes out, because the skin is pierced with needles before that, and they are targeting so-called acupoints, which are the acupuncture points. Or
see some of them
so-called
here.
or so-called meridians that are supposed to be stimulated to open the flow of the life energy called the qi.
I have my own theory about the qi, but it is written in using the same Chinese characters as we see for vapor, right? So I would imagine that someone in ancient China would see that this is what escapes from when a human exhales, or whenever a living thing exhales, and it kind of seems to go up, or kind of dissipates, right? And then people or someone might make the connection between clouds, and maybe they might think, oh, maybe that's where the life energy goes. So instead, we should try to keep it circulating.
Interesting.
That's just my idea. I don't know. I haven't heard this anywhere else. So you've heard it here. You've heard it here first. Probably not exactly how it was, but this explanation
sounds correct to me.
good enough for me.
Yeah, this is
Anyways, yeah, go
so
on.
spoiler alert. Acupuncture is considered as pseudoscience, which means it consists of statements and beliefs or practices that claim to be both scientific and factual, but are incompatible with the scientific methods. And acupuncture is also so-called characterized as quackery, which means which is synonymous with health fraud, promotion of
Kind of.
fraudulent,
Yeah,
ignorant
that's
medical
exactly what
practices.
it is. You have a
Uh-huh.
point. Yeah. So the point is, if there would be a consistency or a correlation between acupuncture and certain health aspects, then the consistency would be clear and repeatable using different experiments, right? But obviously now you can do experiments and you can measure how helpful this is if it's if there even if there are some consistencies sometimes and sometimes not, that means there isn't a correlation.
There is
You see
no
what I mean?
correlation, and there are pragmatic studies lead to no definite conclusion. So there are useless. Thousands of studies have been done for decades, but except that billions, literally billions of dollars being spent, there is no conclusive answer because the more experiments or more studies you do, that the effect is closer to zero. It's like if you do if you do
Effect is not increasing, or the occurrence of the effect is not increasing but
it's
decreasing. Okay.
decreasing. It's like if you do 10 experiments and one person claims he feels better, because this is
Okay.
the only way how you can measure their outcome.
Now that is very
So it's like,
subjective, obviously. You can't
yeah, subjective. So it's like
say that.
10% success. But if you do 10,000 and 10 people claim they feel better, it's
Ah, I
1%,
see. I see. Right.
for example.
Understand.
Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I would imagine, that it can help to alleviate pain. This is how I always thought about it. But then I would also be worried, if it targets some nerves. I don't want it to damage the nerve. So,
Hmm.
it either, if that's the way I would look at it, then
Hmm.
I would rather it wouldn't work rather than it should damage the nerve.
Yeah. The
To put
only
it
way
that
how you
way.
can measure if it really relieves some pain is through magnetic resonance imaging,
I see.
MRI.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah.
been done. It's been
Okay.
done, but
Okay.
only with a small group of people, like for example 17, and
Hmm.
the results are not conclusive.
Yeah.
Like they
Understand.
they usually the final results are like treatment may change something, or even that something is kind of a stretch. So
Okay.
and usually they say acupuncture is safe, and there was some tiny improvement, reducing some pain, but this is what placebo does. It's
I
like
see. I see.
measuring the endorphins, like which block the pain, is
Hmm.
exactly the same thing, right? Like placebo effect.
Understand. Yeah.
Yeah, no bigger.
Well, yeah. I mean, they might get released, but maybe just as well as if there was no needle penetrating the skin in the first place.
Yes, yes, it's been also done, these experiments when the needle doesn't penetrate the skin at all,
Hmm.
or just maybe just gently touching the skin, pretending you're penetrating the skin, or just purposely missing the acupoints, and the results
Okay. I see.
results are the same.
mean, first of all, how did they come up with these points? I mean, you know, chi does not exactly flow through our bodies, and how would they, make out the maps? Like, who would invent this? I guess it's they would base it on either nerve endings or blood vessels. I don't know.
Well, it's the chi is. They say that they can find the chi by some kind of listening and having some sensation. You know, like you feel the chi or something like that. I mean, it's not very clear how and how they
See,
feel it.
okay,
You know,
okay,
you know,
all right.
targeting these meridians is just to make the chi flow
Understand?
through these
Yeah.
passageways between meridians, because if the passageways are blocked, then when you become sick, right? So you have to unblock the passageways. And how they found out? Well, let's read what the Chinese government website, so-called the Silk Road to Health, says about it. Official Chinese government. They say TCM, traditional Chinese
Medicine.
medicine, yeah, it's one of the greatest accomplishment of Chinese civilization. They are endorsing it. You know, they know it's a fake. They know it's bullshit, but they have nothing else to use. Like what to glorify Chinese civilization for, if not for something that
No, you use whatever you can for soft power, I suppose.
whatever you can, exactly. So TCM progressed over thousands of years. That's not true. They're lying. While fighting against numerous diseases.
We
I
can
don't
say
think so.
progress, but by trial and error. Maybe it mentions that.
The Chinese people
So then very
established and
slowly.
advanced TCM by trial and error in their daily
Okay.
lives. Poor Chinese people. Imagine how many errors.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to end up on the error side of things.
Yeah, they had to go through it. Otherwise, this is how they find all these meridians by trial and error.
I mean, I would imagine, that this would be in the past when there wouldn't be a lot of scientific ways how to heal a body or at least make some pain go away. You would be willing to try anything. At some
But
point.
this is even not true. This is not ancient. This is not ancient medicine. This is not ancient studies. This is relatively. This is very new. I mean, I believe that they started using the needles only during the Qing Dynasty, like 400 years ago.
I see. I see. As something maybe that's
And
supposed to be more precise, right?
right,
Okay.
or
Well.
they just
All right.
just make it look like a theatrical placebo. It's a placebo, but theatrical placebo.
Looks more. It
So
looks
they
more exact. Yeah. Like you really. Like you
exactly.
really know what you're hitting, huh?
Yes, yes, yes,
Okay.
yes, indeed. So
Interesting. Yeah. Never thought
acupuncture
about that.
probably was practiced during the Neolithic era, near the end of the Stone Age.
Wow.
But by using sharpened stones called the bianshar. So or
Sure is a
some
stone,
Chinese,
and bien, some kind of a stone. Yeah.
yeah, or so-called plan, plien, which means stone
Oh
probe.
yeah.
They were
Okay.
probing, right?
Okay.
But some of these ancient Chinese medical texts, they indicate that stones were believed at the time to cure illnesses or near the body's surface, perhaps because the short depth of a stone could penetrate. The stone cannot go very deep, right?
Right. Yeah.
So so they were used for some puncturing a growth to drain its pus.
Okay. So originally it would be used, for example, to drain some pus out of a wound. Let's say.
Yeah, or a pointed stone to
Okay.
open abscesses.
Okay, that seems to make
or
sense. So
but not acupuncture. Not there wasn't acupuncture. It
it
was
does
more like
seem to this explanation does seem logical.
it was more like bloodletting or like
Yes,
anti.
I was thinking about that. Like for example, if you look at bloodletting in medieval Europe, right, where they would
Yes,
release
using
some of the
leeches.
use the leeches. Maybe those are actually safer, right? Because that would improve the blood flow or blood circulation. Or sometimes just cutting the skin, I guess, to make the person feel a little more lightheaded and then
Yeah.
think that they feel better. So I guess it's a similar principle then.
Yeah, it sounds to me more like a shamanism.
Yeah,
Like
kind of. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
balancing the flow of energy or a life force, the so-called chi flow through the pathways, meridians. Uh, you know, it's some people. I think when it's different how you explain how it works for the Chinese people and in the West. In the West, usually the
Hang on.
acupuncturists say they are
Here
stimulating the
is an ancient
nerves.
example.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what I was always thinking about the nerves. But you are right. In traditional Chinese medicine, it's all about the flow of qi and how to regulate it.
For the Chinese, this is funny. The mammoth is being pierced by some Neanderthal hunters
Yeah,
from the back.
and the mammoth says, "That's odd. My neck suddenly feels much better." And
Excellent.
it's got spears stuck in his backside.
Doesn't even know what's happening behind him.
Yes. So
It's
this is ancient acupuncture.
Neolithic times.
Right, right. But the example that you mentioned with the stones and whatnot and draining pus, this does seem to be a fairly logical explanation.
Makes sense.
Works for me.
Yeah.
Well, let's see a little bit more about acupuncture nowadays. Let's have a look here. This video says acupuncture is useless. Let's have a look.
It
Okay.
doesn't matter where you stick the needles. It also doesn't matter if you stick the needles.
Okay. That's what we talked about, right? The sort of
What the
placebo
evidence
needles.
shows is that acupuncture is essentially an elaborate placebo. You get a placebo effect out of it, and that is all. You get no specific effect out of the acupuncture itself. Acupuncture, which is defined as inserting needles, acupuncture needles, into acupuncture points that are supposed to relate to the symptomatology, whatever symptoms you're trying to treat. The clinical research clearly shows, after literally thousands of studies, that it doesn't matter where you stick the needles. It also doesn't matter if you stick the needles. You could randomly poke somebody with toothpicks, and some studies literally do that,
Wow.
and that's just as effective as doing all the things that an acupuncturist is supposed to do. If they're equally effective, what does that mean? I interpret that to mean that acupuncture, sticking needles in acupuncture points, doesn't work because you don't have to do it. You don't have to stick the needle. Saying that acupuncture works because there is a placebo effect would be like a pharmaceutical company saying, well, our drug and the placebo worked better than no treatment at all in clinical trials. Therefore, both our drug and placebo work. It's not proper logic of science and evidence. It's not science-based medicine. The bottom line is, and we have thousands of studies now to demonstrate this, acupuncture doesn't work for any indication.
I like how small some of the needles are, right? I mean, how can you, be exactly sure where to put it?
Exactly. They because everybody's body is different. Like if you look at our veins, even the veins have different position.
It's a
Even
good point.
you,
Too.
if you look at your two arms, right? Each arm, your own arm has the veins just run in different way.
We
Also
are
with the
not
nerves.
completely symmetrical.
Yeah,
Huh?
yeah. Everybody is different. Even your own body, right and left side is different. So
Yeah.
how do they know? They don't know. They don't know. This is because Stephen.
They know roughly, right? They have a rough idea. Yeah, but
Yeah,
that's
this man
about
was
it.
Stephen Novella. He's a Yale University neurologist and the editor of the science-based medical blog. And
Right.
he's a big critic of acupuncture. He says each year Americans spend more than 30 billion of dollars on alternative and complementary treatments. Wasted money.
I mean,
Wasted money.
when nothing's helping, I guess, people
Mm.
resort to whatever. Yeah.
Mm. They say number of acupuncture points was originally established to correspond to the number of the days of the in the year, 365. And these points were in China. In Korea it was 300. So these points were mapped to 14 major channel lines, the meridians, one
These are the
channel
meridians,
for each of the 12 inner organs,
yeah.
one channel along the spine, and another along
Zero
the
one.
midline of the abdomen. But there are like 30 different kinds of acupuncture. Some acupuncturists, they say there are more than 14 meridians. Some of them say there are fewer. Some of them say there are no meridians. So which one is it?
That's a good point.
Yeah. And by now, so-called modern acupuncture found out there are up to more than 2,000 acupoints.
Oh, but still, how do you map them? Well, I guess you can have a rough idea. If you put a needle here, it might be
At least
close to this nerve, yeah, or this
At
place in the
least in
body.
the ancient times, they were maybe using some prisoners of war, right? They could practice on them, by trial and error. But how do they do it now?
Yeah, yeah, that's a good question. I don't think it's that. It's probably not supposed to be that dangerous. I'm hoping it's not supposed to be that dangerous, right? I don't. Who knows who they practice on? But probably could have been anyone, like anyone, even a ruler who would be in pain would be willing to try anything. But maybe he might have it tested on someone else first.
Hmm.
So that is a good
Definitely.
point. I mean,
In the last like 90 years or 80 years, they say about 90 deaths were recorded
really,
officially, right?
my goodness.
So the fatalities were usually due to an acupuncture needle penetrating a vital organ
Oh,
or causing
wow.
pneumothorax, cardiac or
Arrest.
hemorrhage,
Oh,
which
okay.
bleeding out.
A
Right?
heart bleeding
Yeah.
out. My goodness.
There were
That
cases that somebody
sounds
entered
very
the needle not
serious.
only in the chest but through the arm, but the needle got inserted so deeply that pierced the upper lung of the person, and so sometimes the people just go home knowing everything is fine, and they just die in next day or in 2 days or 3 days. So probably not all the casualties were recorded, but anyway, considering how many, like maybe every year like 14 million people take this treatment, the number of deaths is not very high,
Well, luckily, it
luckily. Yeah?
would be nicer
Well,
if it was zero.
considering it does nothing, it's a placebo, actually too many deaths, right?
I suppose, yeah. I mean, let's hear a little more from doctors, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is Harriet Hall. Here we can
Uh-huh.
see a cartoon of a person undergoing acupuncture. Let's
Mm-hmm.
hear a little bit from her.
For you, but
Yeah.
some people may be reassured, other people may be disappointed. Anyway, I'd like to start with a taxonomy of pincushions. When we stick pins in dolls, we call it voodoo. When, when we stick pins in babies, we call it child abuse. When we stick pins in prisoners, we call it torture. And when we stick pins in patients, we call it alternative medicine. Now, an acupuncturist might say it was a jab well done. Acupuncture is probably one of the most popular forms of alternative medicine. But there really is no such thing as alternative medicine. There's only medicine that has been tested and proven to work, and medicine that hasn't. And if any...
I'll stop right there. Yeah, I mean, obviously, right? And how do you test whether something works? You know, by randomized trials, right? Where someone doesn't know what they are, whether they're taking the substance or not. Obviously, you know, then you have to take the placebo effect into account, right? Because some people might report that they are feeling better, right? Even if they are taking something, they don't know what it might be.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah, Harriet Hall is a physician. This lecture is like 40 minutes long. It's
yeah,
excellent, excellent lecture on the. So she's using this example of like Cinderella. That she says that Cinderella compared to her stepsister, well, Cinderella wears rags and her face is covered in ashes, and while her stepsister is wearing beautiful clothes, and she went through some cosmetic surgeries, her stepsister will
acupuncture.
definitely
Acupuncture.
she will always look better. Yes, the Cinderella is the real science, the real medicine, while her stepsister, the acupuncture, will always look worse. Like Harriet Hall says, like if a doctor, if you go to a regular doctor,
Interesting
and
comparison. Yeah.
very interesting, and he says, well, I know the pain, in your lower back. This is normal for your age. It will go away in 2 weeks.
Hmm.
Meanwhile, here are some painkillers, and if you go, we can offer you some extra treatments. And just go home. I don't want to see you again, because I'm too busy.
Yeah.
While if you go to the acupuncturist, right, he will spend half an hour. He will look very interested. He will ask you questions. He will let you lie down. He will stick the needles in your back, and he will. Meanwhile, you open yourself up. You will tell him you also have some heartburning problems. So okay, the acupuncturist goes like, no problem. He will stick two more needles, here and there, and he will just make the heartburning go away. And you are lying half an hour down. You are very relaxed, and when it's over, acupuncturist just suggestively asks you like, you must feel better now, right? And you feel
Okay, I
socially
see.
obliged to agree. You will say,
Hmm.
like, yeah, 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 I
Hmm.
feel better. And everybody after lying down for half an hour feels better, right?
I guess so.
And the,
Yeah, depending on what position you are in. But in general, yeah.
the acupuncturist wants to see you again. He will say every acupuncture treatment will take maybe 3 or maybe 6 sessions, and because he wants to make money, right? So he'll ask you to come back again, and you
I
feel
understand.
great, right? Yeah.
Wow.
So that's the Cinderella thing.
Well, I guess the point is that you want the treatment to work once you've invested time and money, or at least you invested yourself more into it. Yeah,
Yeah, that's placebo. That's how you fool your brain, or how the brain fools you actually.
understand. Yeah, yeah, you have a
Uh,
point.
mm,
Huh.
yeah, like with the rubber arms, like
Yes.
remember the experiment been done
Well,
with the rubber arm.
we can have a look at that.
Uh-huh.
Here there is a. All right. You can see the real arm on the left and the
Uh-huh.
rubber arm here on the right. Let's
The
have a
middle
look at it.
arm is the thing. Yeah,
Yes.
I would never on purpose hurt you, right?
Okay.
And I would never take a hammer and bash your fingers to where they would hurt, right?
I hope not.
But again, your brain is going to tell you that you're going to feel this when in fact I'm not actually going to be causing any damage to your hand.
Okay.
All right?
Okay.
And we'll start lightly again.
You really feel
Okay.
something.
You ready?
Yeah.
Here we go.
Let's see.
Very lightly. Here we go.
Ah, he's lifting his finger now.
Oh, it's so,
Oh, you flinched,
so
buddy.
weird.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah.
Oof.
Oh.
You can really feel it.
Oh, the infamous thumb when you're hammering. Oof. Missed the nail.
Oh, you know, it feels like an electric shock. It's so strange.
Doesn't it?
Yeah. Oh, even when I touch myself.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. Watch this. Watch this. One last electric. Watch this.
You should
ready
hit
for
him.
This one.
Okay.
But in his
Let's see
head.
what it happens.
Okay.
See if you can tell me which
End
one.
of the treatment should be hitting him in the head.
I wasn't expecting that. So this was funny. I guess the way it works is that your mind makes a connection between the expectation, right? Because it wants to be prepared for an eventuality, right? It wants to be prepared for a reaction to just to be able to survive.
Yeah, probably.
Even if that reaction is incorrect.
It's been this experiment, just in under 2 minutes, creates this fake illusion that you own this fake body, this fake rubber arm. This shows how the human brain works. It can be easily deceived.
Yeah, but I mean, this is based on vision specifically, but obviously it's a little harder or a little bit trickier to figure out what are some other ways in which our brains are not deceived that aren't optical illusions, right? But of course they exist, right? They can be mental illusions, or any different kind of illusions.
Oh, the more theater, the better. Right?
Huh? Yeah, but I guess because we perceive most of our world, what is it, about 80%, through vision, through this sense. So this would make sense that the connection between a visual expectation and a reaction would be strong.
Yeah, definitely. Like, you remember this experiment that's been done by Kapchuk, Ted Kapchuk. I believe it was done in 2015 or earlier.
You mentioned that he himself was curious about traditional Chinese medicine and acupuncture.
He studied TCM in Macau, and he was practicing
see.
acupuncture himself.
So
And
he
one
really
day
devoted some effort to
he really believed
trying
that.
to understand
And
it.
then one day a woman walked in with her husband, and she just told him what was wrong with her. And before he did anything, she just left. And later she came back. She brought in some gifts, and he was surprised. He was like, "Why? I didn't even touch you." And she was like, "No. I feel better, really. Before I met you, I feel bad, but after I met you, I feel better. It must be you." And then Kapchuk started thinking, like, what?
That's
Isn't it
makes you
placebo?
makes you question the
Yeah.
efficiency. Okay.
And then he conducted this experiment with his what he's famous for, which is published in Science Translation Medicine. And when he took like 3 groups of people, one group took a migraine drug labeled with the drug's name. There was a real drug. Another took a placebo labeled placebo. So they knew they were taking placebo, right? And the third group took nothing. And the researchers discovered that the placebo was 50% as effective as the real drug to reduce the pain after a migraine attack.
Interesting. So not only was it used, with these kind of fake needles, right? But it would work the same with swallowing a pill. Let's say.
It's just 50%, okay, not 100% as good, but 50%.
Yeah,
But while the
better
experiments,
than nothing. Yeah, I wonder if it was similar with the fake needles.
fake needles work just as well as the real needles,
Wow,
100%. The same thing.
so good.
Yep.
So you don't actually need the needle. You just need to believe that it's.
Yeah, just
Alright.
touching somebody with chopsticks probably, telling them, oh, your needle is coming very deep now. Same
Interesting.
effect.
Huh.
Very interesting.
Yeah, because
Very
I mean it's the same object, right? With the pill, you don't know for sure if it's the same thing, right?
Hmm.
I don't know. That could be just one explanation. Yeah. I
Hmm.
mean, obviously, traditional Chinese medicine or historical Chinese medicine before we had modern medicine was not just about acupuncture, but also about herbs, right? Which also work, but sometimes, yeah. The point is that a lot of the things that doctors might give a patient, might not have, not always have a strong scientific backing. Yeah.
Yeah, we know why herbs work now. The people knew how the herbs work before, but sometimes the herbalist in China just giving you just mix of herbs and telling you this will
Yes. Yes.
cure particular problem with anything. So they just took this herbal treatment to the next level. You know what I mean?
Understand, because it would keep, like people try to find some kind of a system to make of things, right? And the system that has developed in traditional Chinese medicine, obviously before you had modern medicine, was based on the flow of qi. Yeah.
Oh
So
yeah, here we go.
that this is what people believed, right? Now, obviously, by the time of Li Shizhen, probably the most famous Chinese herbalist. I mean, he lived in
Mm-hmm.
the 16th century, from 1518
Uh-huh.
to 1593, and you can still see, his image on a lot of Chinese herbal preparations. Right, it would be a little more advanced, and now slowly science is testing these materials, but that is modern science. That is medicine, not trial and error, right?
Right. But we know how particular herb works. So, for example, you can make a chamomile tea, and it will help your respiratory system.
Yes. So,
Somehow.
what kind of a system existed, or that someone come up with, or has developed in traditional Chinese medicine when people didn't know how these things work? Well, aside from the flow of qi, there was also the concept of, let's say, hot things or
Oh yes.
cold, warmer, or cooler things, to
Uh-huh.
kind of also, I guess, to kind of regulate your flow of chi, your flow of
Uh-huh.
energy, and some different symptoms will be ascribed to different things. For example, too much hot would be described as causing headache or insomnia, right? Too much cold could cause fatigue, poor appetite. These
This,
very um, palpable but hard to define symptoms.
this is nonsense. This is complete nonsense. Like,
It's
I, I,
funny, though, it's a
in
funny
my
system when you don't know any better.
in my current job, we've been having for lunch green bean soup for 2 months.
Because
And
it's
after like 2 weeks, I complain every single day green beans. And after the second week, I
can
started
see mung
complaining like,
beans here, but you can see some peas here. Yeah, there we go.
but should be cool, should be cool or cold.
I mean
Because the
um,
chef told me
these are
because
mung
it's summer.
beans. Yeah. Well,
The
the
chef
shit.
told me
That's all they're told.
because it's summer.
You know. I mean, what I've seen before, sometimes they would just make the soup and then throw the mung beans away. I mean, that was the worst. You know.
Yes, it's just water because probably they ran out of the beans after 2 months, so they are just using maybe very very little beans.
I'm assuming you know the energy, the chi is in the water, gets released from the mung beans.
Maybe he
I don't
talked to
know,
me about
man.
you. With my poor Chinese, I didn't understand, fortunately, what he was talking about.
Yeah,
But the seriously, the real explanation was because it's summer, and the green beans is a soup for summer. That's it. That's all you need to know. Shut up and stop asking.
funny. Yeah.
Yeah, funny.
Now,
Yeah,
obviously, you know the real herbs that they have tried. For example, Li Shizhen would publish a compendium or would work on a compendium called Beng Cao Gang Mu, described in Latin as Materia Medica, the Chinese medicinal corpus before people had modern medicine. You can see some herbs here, for example, Wu Wei Zi, right? This is Schisandra. This is what I can identify here, right? So, you know, obviously, some of the herbs work sometimes. But you know what do you do when you don't know what to take? You take some kind of a mix. You know, I remember when I went to the doctor once with back pain, and the doctor asked, or it might have been a pharmacist, was asking me. I think it was a doctor though. Do you want Chinese medicine or do you want the drug? By which, obviously, they meant the active substance. Yeah. So I thought, oh, okay. Well, give me both. Give me what works.
They call the Western medicine like a drug, like which means in Chinese language like a poison, right?
I mean, it's a good question. Yeah. Well, why was she using this word? But I mean, without any kind of stigma attached, she was just using it to mean an active substance.
Uh-huh.
It's funny though, right?
Yes, very funny.
Yeah,
Do you know
so-
that at many times in the Chinese history, acupuncture was banned in China, and it was kind of resurrected by Mao Zedong, who himself didn't believe in acupuncture or any TCM, and he was only treated with Western medicine. But because they didn't have money, so they allowed TCM to be used for the peasants, right? And
themselves would use medicines that were more expensive.
yeah, correct. And there is a myth that acupuncture works as anesthesia for surgeries, and it started in 1971.
Yeah. I don't
When
know about
Nixon-
surgeries. That's a little extreme. I thought you just maybe kill some pain or numb some pain sometimes.
No, that's a myth that still survives.
Yeah.
And it started in 1971, and Nixon came to China. And one of the journalists from New York Times, apparently, he went through appendectomy, and there was a myth
Well, yeah, that
that
he
didn't
was
use
having
any
his appendix
anesthesia,
removed.
right? And he did use real anesthesia, Western anesthesia in the Chinese hospital, but the myth went like, oh, there was no real anesthesia, everything was done with acupuncture.
And how would the patient be asleep? You're not supposed to operate on the patient if you can help it, unless you're operating on yourself. I mean, What the hell?
Long time ago, I saw a video when woman was having labor through, she was having cesarean section.
Right.
And just needles were sticked in her body. That's it. Nonsense, bullshit. It's a lie. It's a lie. It's
Doesn't make
not
sense.
real.
Yeah.
It's not real.
Huh.
The lies. Purposely spread lies just to promote Chinese soft power. Yeah. And they didn't know how to promote TCM, you know, because they don't have much. So they are using this saying like, you know, TCM is becoming more popular in Western European countries like Germany, France, United Kingdom, or even, you know, like there is like the Silk Road of Health, the Chinese that promotes world public health through the diffusion of Chinese traditional medicine article, the government article, they say, you know, like acceptance of the 2,000-year-old form of alternative medicine spread far beyond Chinese communities that officially say that. In recent years, acupuncture has become the new health lifestyle buzz after developing a fan base among royals and celebrities, including Meghan Markle, Matt Damon, and singers Sheryl Crow and Madonna. Chinese government is using Western celebrities as a proof that TCM is working, acupuncture is working.
Why can't you just, you know, have medicine be supported by science? I mean, it's not about how much you like
Because they
something.
because they don't have any proofs. They don't have proofs. And my question is,
Mm-hmm.
why the West is spending so much money?
No,
Why?
I think it's just, you know, whenever whenever you know, whenever you don't have any help, you turn to anything, right? So why do people, I don't know, not to go to the to their garden and pick some flowers and boil that? Well, because they kind of feel like, you know, that's doesn't work. But maybe if you hear it from you know, from a practitioner from a different country, maybe it's real. Yeah. So
If Matt Damon,
it's that kind of
if Matt Damon tells me the best chicken is best uncooked, I am not going to listen to him. I like him as an actor, but I don't listen to any of his life advice, or you know, why would I believe him?
That's a good point. Yeah, I mean, doesn't work like this with medicine. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
nobody's trying to hurt you, right? But if you know, maybe someone, if you kind of want any kind of help, you're looking, you know, you're clutching, if you're a drowning person, clutching at straws, you know, you might want to grab any straw that, you know, someone's handing you. Yeah,
Hmm.
I mean,
Yeah, indeed.
that's
Indeed.
just my explanation.
Absolutely. The Westerners also invented some similar pseudoscience medical treatment, like for example homeopathy, that was developed in Germany more than 200 years ago. Or there was also called like a acupuncture from 19...
A second, homeopathic
Uh-huh.
medicine is supposed to have some kind of a drug, if you will, an active substance, just, you know, very diluted. Maybe if they're not sure what the active substance is, so it doesn't kill someone.
The scientists proved that if you dilute particular, like let's say molecule, in how much amount of other substance, let's say water, you need to dilute it as much that there is zero molecule in the water. It's like a great number, right? And homeopathy, it dilutes this substance in so much water, that twice as much water that's needed
Okay.
You can say that there is zero molecule of this substance.
So there is the point is there's very little active substance. Yeah.
Nothing. There is zero and zero again. There are two zeros,
Okay. I see.
literally. Yeah, interesting.
But
Yeah.
what was the thing you mentioned about the ear? Let me see if it.
Oh,
Oh,
yes.
look at that. I see an ear on the left and a little baby, a fetus on the right.
This is a proof that you don't need thousands of years of trial and error practice. This one is not very old. This is from 1950s, 1957.
Okay.
French doctor Paul Nogier came up with this idea that the ear kind of resembles a human fetus with the lobe to be the head, right? So he came up with this idea that basically if you stimulate different part of the ear, it brings some kind of stimulation to the particular organ or body parts.
It reminds me of those, specific foot massages with the little acupressure points. That are supposed to massage different organs.
Yeah,
But with
essentially.
with an ear, it's funnier, and the explanation is just adorable because it looks like a fetus. Okay.
Yeah. To treat alignments in corresponding parts of the body according to how the fetus is curled, and you just whatever.
What if you have an attached earlobe? He's clearly never been to China.
There are some people they have no earlobes, so
Oh,
probably they have no
God.
head.
Maybe no headache.
No
Lucky
headaches.
them. Yeah. What if
Yeah.
they had their tongue? Just pierce the ear.
Mm.
I don't know. I mean,
Use the neck, Mr. Fag. Ridiculous. And this is like a Western invention.
yeah, this came from France, and it seems ridiculous to us now. But when you think about it, but look at ancient Chinese medicine. It's existed for thousands of years. Surely it can be wrong. Well, why couldn't some of it be wrong, right? Just like any ancient medicine, sometimes some of it might work, some of it might not work. Yeah.
Yeah, if you use
same
the
principle applies.
if you use the right visual picture, right, that it's likely to believe that it's true.
Yeah, I suppose
Yeah.
there's a power of persuasion there.
Power of persuasion.
Right.
Mm.
I mean, we have one more funny video here. Right. Swear this looks more like a parody. I'm not sure if this is meant for real, but anyway.
Yes, it's real. It's really Tongren, which is also considered one of the 30 kinds of acupuncture methods. And this one is it looks like a voodoo. You just have a figurine and you just rhythmically keep tapping the figurine on the right acupoints or whatever meridians, whatever they are using. And you cure the person who is just sitting nearby.
Right, so you show the person where you're going to hit them first before you actually hit them, right? So they feel a little safer, right?
No, the person tells you what his problem is, and then there's just all of them just start rhythmically tapping this point on this figurine. You know what I mean?
Let's see this. What the hell?
When
Yes.
And right shoulder dislocated.
dislocate.
The arm is back in place, but the muscles are still loose.
All
We might
right.
need to hit that shoulder a little bit.
So injury,
All right, let's see.
We need the subclavian artery to supply the blood down. So stomach, 12, stomach,
hell?
11, outpoint down.
Seems like everyone's hitting a different place, right? This guy's hitting the shoulder. The little kid is hitting the chest. So is the lady behind him. And this guy seems to be hitting the head. Maybe that I'm just missing something. Maybe it's just a camera perspective. But
So the people come into our class. The sadness, the range is very, very wide. You name it, we do it. Include the children. What you feel?
The muscles are moving.
The muscle move. So you can
He can feel
feel
it. He can feel it. He can feel it.
I gotta close my eyes and
how you feel now.
Warm, and I feel all the energy here.
All the energy moves.
It's working.
the energy. That's it.
So you in the class already.
Must be chi.
So we just let the chi running.
He doesn't know yet.
Alright,
It's
sir,
chi.
Are you new here?
Yes.
So
Okay. I seriously thought, that they would demonstrate where they're going to hit the patient, Like if they got a dislocated bone. I mean, you should do this a little carefully, but what the hell?
I wonder if this kind of treatment could be done over email. Do you have to be physically?
Maybe we should do it over video, right?
Well, just you write an email. Hello, my name is Trabant, and I have this kind of problem. Could you just step the voodoo figurine in your office a little bit? So help me out. Thank you.
You can actually buy these kind of figurines in China, I suppose elsewhere as well, with the different acupuncture or acupressure points. Right? They have the little holes. There are lines that are painted, and they all have their names in Chinese.
Oh,
Yeah. So yeah,
so funny.
it is. Yeah. The things you come up with when you have no way to test or no efficient way what works or what not, then it really is just trial and error. Right. So they put it.
Mhm.
Right. I mean, you can also do this on animals. Let's see a little bit about horses here, right? We can see equine acupressure points, the gallbladder meridian in horses, which is a bit of a funny misnomer because apparently horses don't have gallbladders. So I don't know. The last few things seem like you're pulling a bit of a prank on me, Trabant. Yeah. Next thing you're gonna tell me the Trabant was bathed in West Germany, not East Germany.
Right. I like the how do you know? They say how do you know that the massage? It's like a massage. The massage on the horse is working. So the horse is yawning, stretching, chewing, playing with their tongue, blinking with their eyes, or releasing tension by shifting weight from one leg to the other.
So basically, all the common things that a horse can do while it's standing.
All the other things except running. Yes. Not by standing. If the horse is running, it's a sign that he doesn't like it. It's not working.
It's
probably.
running away.
Or kicking.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. There are a few more animals here as well. And there, aside from Acu horse, there is an Acu dog, Acu cat. Hey, who?
Lucky animals.
Wow.
Yeah.
How do I know it's working? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
The horse is not kicking you, it's trying to bite you.
yeah. Obviously, people, like I said, people try to come up with all sorts of explanations why there might be a system behind something, how to make some sense of our world, right? So in traditional Chinese medicine, this would be made through the five elements, which would be wood, fire, earth, water, and metal, right? And then they would have some subcategories, but the five elements, these are quite important. This was, for example, also used in the system of counting years, and you know, kind of an existing system that someone came up with, applied to all different kinds of things.
It's like alchemy to me,
Yeah,
five
yeah, yeah,
elements.
yeah. Does kind of look like oops, wait, this kind of little homunculus that the alchemists were trying to create. In this case,
Mm-hmm.
helping you with all your body problems.
Mm-hmm. Nice people.
Wonderful. But now we were really getting into joke territory
Ah,
with this
what
one.
is this?
Oh, that looks similar to the little baby, but a little more maybe visually appealing for men.
Okay, but this is a hoax. This is not real.
Yes. Finally,
Yeah,
something that I can see is a hoax.
yeah. It's just a fun. Yeah, this happened in like 1996 as a joke when Dr. John McLachlan published in the British Medical Journal this hoax, made up story.
Right.
Uh,
They
like
do these things sometimes for
using some
academic fun.
post-modern philosophy. Yeah, it was using the right jargon, so it
Okay.
apparently fooled people. When he claimed that the whole what does he say? So-called
Whole bot.
integrative medicine. Yes. So he said that the whole reflectology called buttocks reflectology, that the acupuncture point represented by a homunculus map on the buttocks.
So kind of starting at the top and kind of going around the
He said this is
half of
better than the
each cheek.
auricular, this ear
Right, right.
reflectology.
It's certainly more interesting to look at.
And he actually suggested that he asked to submit his abstraction, and he said, yeah, he was admitted. He said, we are happy to inform.
So he as a joke, he sent an abstract to the journal. Somebody read it and say, "Oh, this will be fun."
Yeah, they say, yeah, why not? It sounds reasonable. They said, we are happy to inform you that the scientific committee has reached its
Right.
decision. Your paper has been accepted and you will be able to present your lecture. There was like a lecture about acupuncture, and he was writing like, before he wrote to them that, I'm using only the positive findings. I'm not going to use any negative. I will be always like positively talking about it. And after that, he was accepted.
What the hell?
But then he said like this particular. Yes, they like it that he was going to oblige. So they said, he said this particular hoax shows the absurdity and credulity and so-called in so-called integrative medicine. And I do not believe that rational medicine could have been fooled with something so intrinsically ridiculous as in this case. So the minimum standards of common sense should be led to a polite but firm rejection. He should be rejected to attend this conference, to have his speech.
Yeah,
But he
they
got
might tell you, "Oh, this is fun," but come on.
no, because he told them he would be presenting only positively,
Yeah,
not negatively.
that's
Yeah.
a key point there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean,
Yes.
you could find support for anything
Mm-hmm.
that way.
Yes. It's
But yeah.
ridiculous.
So
So
yeah,
needle should be inserted only in the butt.
I see.
That's enough.
Mm.
Yeah. Why not butt? By the way, the
Reminds me
only
of the COVID swabs.
they started with foreigners at the airport, right?
Well.
Yes. The only body part that where acupuncture is never done is the penis. Interesting. The only
You don't want to hurt that one.
no,
Function there. I'm sure that everyone would be careful. Hey,
you don't want that.
hey, don't touch my bleep.
I'm out. That was the last one.
I think that
Yeah.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there is also recently this so-called cosmetic acupuncture
Oh,
is
see, I was talking about
practiced.
cosmetics. Yeah, there we go.
And many people believe that. Like there's these tiny needles inserted into specific points in the face. They say the benefits are plumping and tightening the skin, targeting wrinkles, reducing fine lines, and many more. Because, traditional Chinese medicine has used acupuncture for thousands of years to treat a range of health issues. We believe that problems and an imbalance in the flow of vital energy, otherwise known as qi, are possible cause of accelerated skin aging. So restoring the flow of energy in the face may have the potential to rejuvenate the skin, combat signs of aging, skin health. Yeah, serious.
If you have zits on your face, maybe the needles will help. Yeah, but that's about all it's gonna do.
Probably. Yeah, it's not gonna help much. This. Harriet Hall says, why not to use placebos? So, why not to use them? Many people would say, why not to use them if they make patients believe they work, right?
Yeah.
And she says they are
Fair question.
unethical. There is a very little possibility of harm for no benefit, right? Little possibility of harm, but there is no benefit. So what's the point?
Yeah, I guess it depends
The
on
cost time.
which placebo. Yeah, but
They cost time and money. They may result in delay or rejection of effective treatment. And placebo effect doesn't last very long and does
okay, I see.
very little. And when the patients say they feel better, the outcome is still the same.
Yeah,
As
that's a
if
very
they-
good point, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah. Yeah. And they say their health conditions getting worse if there is no real treatment, right? So they are delaying their real treatment.
Point, right? Just because you feel
Yeah.
better, right? Doesn't make the underlying problem go away.
Exactly. If you feel better, doesn't mean that you are getting better. You might be getting worse while you feel better. Is it the point?
I see. I
Is
see
what
what you
you
mean.
want? No,
Wow.
not really.
No, of course not.
Yeah. And she says that they say laughter is the best medicine. So perhaps we should replace acupuncture with laughter.
See, yeah.
It's simple. As simple as that.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. There are lots of other sort of forms of traditional Chinese medicine, but this one is the most popular. Many people believed, okay, maybe the others don't work, but this one is working. See the needle coming inside your
Yeah,
skin.
yeah, it's some kind of a visual representation, a visual manifestation, right? Obviously, you have all the different herbs from Li Shizhen's Ban Cao Gang Mu, from his collection of or from his herbology book,
Mhm.
which also sometimes work, sometimes don't.
Herbs work, but not for everything, right?
Yes,
And
of
we live in
course,
different times.
of course. Yeah.
We live in different times, so herbs work. How much do they work? How well do they work? And again, everybody is different. So
You're asking the
this,
right questions.
yeah. So no more studies are needed. These been spent lots of money. I personally believe that traditional Chinese medicine should be banned because it causes more harm than help.
Good point.
It was showed that in acupuncture relieves pain in some conditions, but in other similar conditions, let's say it works for your arm but doesn't work for your leg, and so on. Like, makes no sense.
I see. I mean, once you
Yeah.
once you study a certain practice, let's say a certain herb or a certain substance, long enough, and there isn't a large correlation except in some cases, then that's the only case it's warranted to use it for,
Mm.
right? And I guess, yeah, otherwise it should not be a part of standard medicine. I mean, this is why in many countries, when you have a doctor who is practicing Chinese medicine, right? They either need to, have a real degree in medicine, or they need to work together with someone who has a degree in medicine, so that they don't hurt the patient by accident.
Yeah, I don't think they have degrees. They have just this fake.
If they don't, I mean, that could be a doctor with a degree, but doing acupuncture, whatever.
I don't know what they study at the universities. Maybe they will study a little bit of real medicine, just so they
Yeah.
can easily fool people or real doctors. This is the point. When they talk to different people, they use different language. Like,
Suppose
and they
so.
always start,
Sure.
this is traditional medicine. We don't know how it works, but, it works. That's it. That's all they can say about it. We don't know how it
That's
works.
not the,
Yet,
that's not the main point though, because you have many examples from medicine where people don't exactly know how something works, but they can demonstrate through repeated trials that there is a causable effect. Yeah.
yes, and that's what I would call traditional medicine. So there is a
That's not even
medicine.
traditional medicine. That's just something we don't know. Maybe it's traditional. Maybe I just came up with it yesterday. I found something
Yeah, right.
that
Right.
works yesterday.
Alternative.
I
That's
repeat,
alternative medicine.
it's not
Yeah.
even. I don't. I mean, it's something that works. You don't know how it works. Okay, I mean that's irrelevant to when it comes to the application of medicine. Actually,
Maybe the English word traditional is not exactly correct what we should use in this case. Yeah, maybe the traditional is a little bit confusing because traditional means it's very old, right?
yeah.
So maybe we should use more like, yeah, alternative. Why not alternative medicine or
Yeah, but I mean, what is the alternative to science? What is the alternative, to testing something by a correct scientific procedure? Do you have better alternatives? Yeah.
no. There is a medicine and there is no medicine.
So why would I want to use something which is not, you know, well, which is not tested quite as well? You know, I mean, if there's nothing else I can do, okay, yes, but
Mm.
then I might as well acknowledge
Mhm.
that at that
Mhm.
point.
Mhm. Mm. Okay.
Anyways, I mean, I still believe there will be a lot of good research that will come out of whatever discoveries that come from traditional Chinese medicine. So we will see, these herbs applied, more as they should be. Yeah. If they
Yeah, they
do,
could be.
yeah,
Herbs, yes. Yes, herbs, yes. Acupuncture, no.
yeah, and yeah, acupuncture. By I mean, if you test it many times and there's no um, real causality there, then
No,
there isn't really any point,
nothing. Yes, correct. Right.
right? Well, maybe for horses, or cats, or dogs.
If they could talk, even.
Yes, but then again, they can't complain either. They can't say it doesn't work. So
Perfect
these are the
patients.
perfect patients. This is actually a little bit
Yeah.
scary because then the perfect patients would be kids, right? They they can't quite identify what's wrong either. Yeah, yeah. But
Yeah.
obviously, people are careful about that. So,
That's scary.
no, I'm really curious. What's going to come out in the coming years. Like I said, I'm sure there will be more Chinese herbs tested, not just based on whether they make you hot or cold.
Yeah.
Yeah, because this is not really an application. What do you only apply to this when you feel hot and cold? That sounds very limited, to be
Mhm.
honest. And
Yes.
you could see some peas here warm and some peas here cool. I mean,
Oh, to be cool and cold. Perfect for
must be
summer.
different beans, man. Yes.
Mm.
Wow. All right. Well, so I'm curious,
Right.
whether people are going to realize that, just because you want to believe something and something seems like, it comes from somewhere else, then maybe it's true, right? Maybe you did, you know, well, you gotta look at the fact
And
first.
meanwhile, we definitely shouldn't be covered from the health insurance. As it is now in many countries in Europe. Yeah, it is.
Then what are you paying for? What's the point of, spending public funds on
I think most scientists should be speaking out. But in my
something not
opinion,
scientific?
scientists are cowards. They don't care. They don't want to interfere with other so-called doctors. They don't want to be criticized. They don't want to criticize. There should be more people like Harriet Hall and talking openly and saying what is true. But I believe I wouldn't be surprised if they did some research between the real doctors and ask them what they think about acupuncture. I wouldn't be surprised if like 30% of they say, yeah, it might work.
I mean, if they haven't done any research on it, they haven't read anything about it, they might be thinking, okay, it's probably, just placebo, but maybe it works. Now, obviously, once you publish, just some examples of these studies that don't show a correlation, then it's very obvious. Yeah.
Definitely. I agree. I agree.
Yeah. But you have a point. The academia is a strange world. Well,
Many of them are ignorant. Many of them are naive. Many of them are just don't care. Just don't give a shit. That's it.
right, yeah. But you have a point, when it comes to people's health. I think one can never be too cautious.
Yeah, you're a doctor. All you have to care is the well-being of your patients.
Right.
So start caring, please.
Yeah, it's a very good point. Right. Oh, on that note,
Yes.
let's finish right here. And
Uh-huh.
yeah, let's see if any other interesting topics come to our
Yeah.
minds. All
Yeah,
right.
looking forward to it.
All right, then take care and see you another time.
Yeah, see you another time.
Take care, buddy. Bye.
Bye bye, Tito.
See you, Trabi.